Here's my presentation on how to upgrade a PC. This presentation 9 in the series on how to upgrade a PC. Using the knowledge of this video, you can pick components to upgrade a PC. A link to the online PowerPoint presentation is in the comments. Since this presentation has links, it's best to use the online presentation. In this presentation, I'll be starting with an empty motherboard with a make and model, then picking the processor, then picking the memory, then eventually picking a hard drive, a solid state drive instead. Using that process, you can see how to upgrade a PC. So here's a picture of my Barebones PC build. If you pause here and have a quick look, you'll see it's a B365 Pro 4. Supports 9th and 8th generation Intel Core processor. It says the socket is 1151. The socket number basically means that unless it says the socket LGA115 processor next to the processor name, it will break the motherboard. Also, if it isn't an 8th or 9th generation Intel processor, it won't work. It says the motherboard make and model is ASRock B365 Pro 4. So the processor has to be compatible with the B365 Pro 4 motherboard. I was looking for a processor that would support VR, virtual reality technology from a game that was 6 or 7 years old. So an 8th or 9th generation i5 or i7 would be good for that. At the time of making this PC, June 22, 2022, DDR4 was a good standard for memories, so I looked for a processor with LGA number 1151 that would fit in a B365 Pro 4 motherboard and supports DDR4 and was good for graphics. This link told me which 8th generation LGA 1151 i5 processors were available from Intel, and it's a link on the Intel site which I found by typing into Google 8th generation LGA 1155 i5. Once I selected a processor, which was an Intel Core i5 8600K, I checked on this next link to make sure it was compatible with my motherboard. By the way, the K in the name means it was good for graphics. This is just a naming convention, by the way. So the next thing to do, the next link was a link to check that the processor was good for my motherboard. And it was. So to find the right memory for the motherboard, I followed the online motherboard specification, which can be found with the link below this, and chose a 16 gigabyte DDR4 2666 non-buffered, non-error correcting memory. It would have appeared as non-buffered, non-ECC memory. The motherboard specifications on the link, as I've said, the last link. A note about memory. For the same size, speed, and previous stats I've mentioned, you can get non-buffered ECC, buffered ECC, as well as non-buffered non-ECC. Buffer is an extra small amount of memory that speeds up the RAM and makes it more reliable and stable, and ECC means self-error correction. It's important to check that the combination of buffer and error correction is available on the motherboard for the memory, and you have to combine this combination of buffer and error correcting in the same order for all items of memory on the motherboard. I chose the standard solid state drive, not an M2 or PCI Express card, but a standard one. This finishes up my presentations on upgrading a Barebones PC. It really ended with building a Barebones PC, but the principles applied here can be used to upgrade one. Well, that's all I wanted to say in this presentation and in this series. Thanks for listening. Bye.